to be on screen and to give the knockouts a run for their money, definitely.
Absolutely. Following that, we had a promo from a guy whose second name was Steamboat. Is that Ricky Steamboat's son?
It sure is, yeah. Richie Steamboat, I believe.
Richie Steamboat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good. I mean, there's so many of the second generation, some third generation stars in FCW working their way up from DiBiase's to Hennigs to, like you say, Steamboat. I mean, there's an endless list at this stage, and between even Cody and Ted all came up from there, and even some more with was it some of Samoans?
Yes.
What's the name escapes me? Unos or something like that.
It all gets lost in a shuffle with those guys. What was the last guy that got released? I can't even. Manu. That was the last guy. Who came after him? Who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, good stuff out of FCW for nurturing the younger generation.
Certainly second or third, some even fourth generation wrestlers down at FCW, and that seems to be the way that they're going down there. Of course, that's the only place that they can truly develop, if you like. WWE's now only developmental territory. At one time you had Ohio Valley Wrestling and Deep South Wrestling, but now just one territory with a lot more of a focus on the guys that they probably feel they can push. Certainly I've liked what I've seen on FCW. The main event there featured Vance Archer and Riley take on Brett DiBiase and Mr. Perfect's son Joe Hennig. And indeed, what are they going to do with this Brett DiBiase? I'm not sure, because look-wise and work rate, he seems to be a bit of a carbon copy of his brother Ted DiBiase Jr.
Yeah, I think that's where it's going to get messy, because he does look very like Ted, and having two DiBiases, especially two young DiBiases, working a singles card in any of the main shows might be confusing for the fans, unless they give him some sort of tag gimmick, which or give him a whole new gimmick. I think that's what it needs to happen, and I quite like Joe Hennig. I think he's got good potential, but I think some of these guys just need a bit more character development as well, and less of the generic wrestler type gimmicks.
I'm with you on that. I want to see more gimmicks, as long as the gimmicks aren't too overdone. We don't want to see another Eugene, for example. Yeah. We don't want to see perhaps another Doink, but maybe they can come up with a more modern gimmick, something we haven't seen before.
Yeah, even a look, or even if it's a style of promo that deliver. I'm not talking big heavy gimmicks like your Doinks or whatever, but there definitely needs to be something to stop the blandness, because sometimes when you watch quite a lot of WWE, if you're unfamiliar with new talent or even the product, a lot of those guys are very generic. I don't think you'd get what Cody Rhodes' gimmick is, or what even Kendrick before he got released, to look at one of his matches, you just wouldn't know where he stands, and that generic thing isn't good for anyone.
Certainly the old trunks and boots syndrome, where all you see is a guy and wrestling gear. It doesn't always work. Sometimes those guys need some kind of gimmick to get themselves over, and certainly I'd like to see maybe even Ted DiBiase perhaps with some kind of belt, maybe the Intercontinental or US Championship. Speaking of the US Championship, who even has that now?
Miz.
Right.
Yeah, the Miz has got the US title, and again, no US title match for Mania, no Intercontinental title match, but a unified tag team title match with R-Truth and John Morrison against Show Miz. Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
A lot of fans talking in our Justin.tv live chat right now, and we're going to get to your comments in a little bit. Certainly, it's great to have you along, whether you love us or you hate us. It's always nice to have your company here on Wrestledope, and you'll find us here live every Sunday evening. The channel itself will rerun some of this stuff during the week, but we hope that you perhaps favourite us, and if you like it, come back again if you have the time. Certainly great to hear all your comments, and we're going to get to them as well when we speak more about Wrestlemania, and particularly that Undertaker-Shawn Michaels match, the one that everyone's talking about. Is it a good idea? Is it a bad idea? We're going to talk more and get some of your opinions as we now wrap up our Florida Championship Wrestling report. And what happened there? DiBiase rolled up Vance Archer. Now, Vance Archer over the past few weeks has been squashing guys left, right and centre. Great booking sense then to get Brett DiBiase and pretty much, well, just give him that push and put him over Vance Archer, a heel that's been doing very well of late.
Yeah, I think Dusty must have lost a run of it with that match. What he was thinking, God knows. But yeah, talk about burying the guy. You definitely did it there, Dusty. Good work.
Dusty Rhodes making probably most of the decisions down there, and if you didn't know, Dusty is indeed the commentator on FCW, and indeed it's something that we're going to keep watching, we're going to keep reporting, and I'm finding it fascinating, as I know you are, to see some of those young stars way before they ever debut. We might not see some of them for 2-3 years, perhaps never in the case of some of them, and it's going to be interesting to see who in fact makes it and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's a fun little show. I mean, it's only an hour out of the week, which isn't too bad, you know. And for most of those SmackDown viewers out there, you know, you should try just even substitute the first hour of SmackDown some week for an hour of FCW. Out of curiosity, it might warm your cockles, as they say in these parts. But yeah, I'm down with FCW, and a good way to highlight new talent, and you'll see some of the NXT guys down there, and some of the future stars of the business, so worth checking out.
You're listening to the Wrestledope podcast on Wrestledope.com, also at Wrestledope.podomatic.com, and indeed live every Sunday on Justin.tv in the wrestling section. And of course, you can follow us on Twitter if you like. It's at WrestleDope. You'll also find all of our videos and indeed the shows on YouTube. And that's youtube.com/TheWrestleDope. You got us on Daily Motion as well, dailymotion.com/WrestleDope. We're doing absolutely everything we can to put ourselves over. Who are we? That's probably what you're asking. But we're essentially two fans talking about the product. Now, I know a lot of people in the business, especially people who are workers, now getting a little bit tetchy about internet fans having opinions. Well, just like we pay to go to a show and choose if we want to boo or cheer a guy, we too entitled to opinions, and hopefully those workers won't be too hurt about these two guys from Ireland and what we think.
Absolutely. And speaking of people getting offended with stuff, we're going to go and do our Smackdown report for this week's Smackdown from WWE. And I quite like this whole segment with the Straight Edge Society and Rey Mysterio, I have to say. At first, when Mysterio was coming out with the family, I didn't really know what was going to go down, but obviously they touched on the whole Punk Mysterio thing building from Mania, and obviously kind of dawned on me that Punk is going to be involved somehow with this whole family situation. But a nice little segment, and very well pulled off by Punk with the happy birthday sing along to Ray's daughter, and yeah, that daughter can definitely work. She was selling that whole Punk angle very well. Actually, I thought she did a better job of selling than Hogan ever did, really, to be honest with you, in those 10-12 minutes on SmackDown. So kudos to Ray's daughter. Good job out of you. And yeah, as for the rest of SmackDown, nothing really to write home about. Yeah, we saw a tag team match with 2 tag teams. I'll repeat that.